And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. We are into March, folks. Take a deep breath. It is Monday, March 2nd. Not the best NBA slate we're ever going to get, that's for sure. But eases us in back off the weekend. 4 games, a 7 o'clock start, a 7:30 start, a 9 and a 10. Rockets, Wizards. Wizards 15.5-point dogs at home for this one, and their roster is tough to look at. Celtics Bucks, not as extreme of an awful basketball game as some of these others. However, awful nevertheless. Celtics 7.5-point favorites in Milwaukee. 215 total. Make a note of that because the total on the next game slightly different. The Denver Nuggets at the Utah Jazz. Nuggets 11.5-point favorites here. 243 total. And then finally Clippers, Warriors, late night hammer. 1.5-point line, 216 total. So we have Celtics Bucks 215. Clippers, Warriors 215. Rockets, Wizards 225. Nuggets, Jazz 243. There's like 50 more fantasy points in Nuggets Jazz than there are in Celtics Bucks or Clippers Warriors. That's going to be an issue. One thing I want to put out there right now, the Nuggets will cover this game. Lay the points with the Nugs. They're going to cover here against the Jazz. Not super worried about it. In a different scenario, I would be. Nuggets on a back-to-back, don't like it. Letdown opportunity against Utah, don't like it. Elevation for Utah, don't like it. But it's the Nuggets. If there's one team in the league that can play a back-to-back in an elevation scenario, it's Denver. They're going to smack the Jazz around today. Not stressed about that one at all. That is one I have immense confidence in. So, if you want to grab a line, that's the one to do it. All you have to do is bet the Nugs. Because that's going to be a dub, folks. From a DFS perspective, we've got one on our hands here. And I've got the data hub up on the screen right now. We can take the first look at ownership for today. Reed Shepherd is at the top of the list right now, but realistically, we do have probably 3 people breaking free and then a couple knocking on that door. $5,700 point guard, shooting guard eligible Reed Shepherd is at the top of the list. $12,500 Nikola Jokic is at the top of the list. And $4,600 Tim Hardaway is at the top of the list. All 3 of these guys are at least 50% owned, 50% optimal. Yuck, I might add. And then it really tapers off into something not fun. Will Riley, 40% owned. EJ Harkless, 25 to 30% owned. John Conchar, 30% owned. Jaden Hardy, 25 to 30. Even Bruce Brown, Jameer Watkins. The names you recognize on the top of this page are essentially Jokic, Kawhi, and Jaylen Brown. With Jaylen Brown and Kawhi basically being coin flips of each other and really difficult to separate. $200, same position, basically the exact same projection, basically the exact same boom. So even just getting Kawhi versus Jaylen Brown right tonight will be one of the harder things you'll do. And then you have to pick between all of these random guys that play for the Wizards, that play for the Jazz, and that play for the end of some of these other teams. We've got one on our hands today. I mean, think about what the pay-up scenario looks like. It's Jokic at 12.5. Realistically, there's a chance that Giannis plays today You're certainly not rostering him in DFS, and all he's going to do is just remove the Bucks from being worth a shit today. He could play, I left him out. But Jaylen Brown is $2,800 cheaper than Jokic. Kawhi Leonard is $3,000 cheaper than Jokic. Whew. It's a very different structure. And look what happens when you just get away from Jokic. Brown, Leonard, Şengün, Durant, Jamal Murray, they're all like 20, 25% owned. They're all basically the same guy. 33% boom, 33% boom, 33% boom, 33%. Like, it's either all the way to Jokic with preposterous numbers or a 5-pack of pay-up options that all kind of look the same. Very difficult slate to me today. Because we have such distinctly different games. Houston, Washington, Denver, Utah are just so different than Clips, Warriors. I mean, it's even different than, like, it's different than Celtics, Bucks. Oh, man. All right, I want to ask you guys. Let's ignore Jokic for a second. Jaylen Brown, Kawhi Leonard, Alperen Şengün. Let's include Durant and Murray for right now. Who is your non-Jokic preferred option today? On the surface, I think that mine is Kevin Durant. It would be incredibly helpful if Kevin Durant had a MPE. I guess I should be more specific. It's either Kevin Durant or Alperen Şengün. If KD had an MPE, that would be really helpful. Brown, Durant, Şengün. Brown, Durant, Murray. Can the Wiz compete? Well, like, I mean, you know the answer to that, Brandon. Like, in the grand scheme of things, no. Do you know why they can't compete? These names have something to do with it. I'm going to guess they're going to struggle to compete because it's Will Riley, Anthony Gill, Jameer Watkins, Sharif Cooper. Those are the top 4 dudes here. How many of those 4 guys are in the NBA in 3 years? Jaden Hardy is 24% owned. These guys are all awful. That said, there's like a 20% chance they just win outright today, which is always the funniest part of this. All it takes is one team to be like, oh shit, we went 20 of 40 from 3 today. We win. That shit can happen. But it's hard to expect the Wizards to be in that one for a terribly long amount of time. Derek White looks sneaky, but why is he 8,200? That is a lot of Derek White salary. Yeah, I lean Durant / Şengün. One of these guys just smacking around this Washington team. I certainly like the idea of Kawhi, but he's already the most popular dude in this group, so it feels weird to say him. The question, I guess, is, are 2 of these payups in the optimal? Let's take a look at that. Hop to the single lineup simulator at stochastic.com. This comes with the package. If you sign up, you get this. Nice. Okay, so we do get a double pay up. Reed Shepherd, Jaden Hardy, Jaylen Brown, Tim Hardaway, Jokic, Eason Conchar Pickett. Now, the Pickett one could move around a bit. This is just an optimal, but current optimal gets Jokic plus another pay up. Keep that in mind, I guess. I think that helps to explain a lot here. Because realistically, it's 9:15. We probably get more value than less by the time this day ends. So I think that we can maintain a relatively easy opportunity to get to double payups. We should probably take a lap through the injury report for right now. There's not a ton to say. For that Rockets-Wizards game, Jabari Smith is out. He missed their most recent game. Jayshawn Tate is out. Obviously, Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams are out. For the Wizards, no Sarr, no AD, no Cam Whitmore, no D'Angelo Russell, no Leaky Black, no Trae Young. Q tags, though. Anthony Gill, Keyshawn George, Tristan Vukcevic. The Wizards are live to make this look even dumber and weirder and more problematic with those Q tags, so be aware. Yeah, Lord King Guru. There's nothing I would want to read less than whatever nonsense that was. That's a funny way to look at everything. Celtics Bucks, obviously no injury reports on either side, so that's going to be less fun. Nuggets on the back-to-back. They could realistically be sitting people and make that look even crazier. For Utah, no Markkanen, like we know, no Kevin Love. Everybody else that is out is going to be out for the rest of the year. Clippers, no injury report on a back-to-back. They could be weird. For the Warriors, it's just Gary Payton. Otherwise, Will Richard out. KP, obviously, out. We don't have a ton here. Only 4 of the 8 teams that play today have an injury report. So that's where we're at. All right, let's talk through the rest of this slate in some other weirder ways, because I think there's some other stuff we want to look at. Let's zoom back in, because we got to talk about what all this value looks like today. Obviously, Jokic has the highest boom rate, and that part not going to be all that supply. Actually, it's going to be easier if I sort this by value, because we got a lot of real stupid value today. And this is going to be the real problem. Jalen Pickett. Why this is wrong already. I might need to fix Pickett right now. I might have fat fingered Pickett and I didn't notice it until this moment. Yeah, I fat fingered Jalen Pickett and I didn't realize it. Let me get that fixed. If I can fix this while I'm live, I'm going to try to do that. I didn't realize it until right now that is not supposed to be 24.03. That's supposed to be 2.4, probably. Let me run that while I'm here. I knew that looked weird to me before for some reason. Couldn't figure out what it was. At least it's an easy fix. It's like that he's not playing 24 minutes today. That's stupid. So dumb. Now, Jaden Hardy, a problem. John Conchar, a problem. Sharif Cooper, a problem. Will Riley, E.J. Harkless, Jameer Watkins, these are all problems. Problem across the board. Let's see. Close. Where are you hiding, Denver? How did I manage to screw up Pickett like that? Yeah, that's got to go down. Okay, let me look at this now. So Q-Tag Cam Johnson, Q-Tag Spencer Jones, likely. Now, by the way, I want to put this out there. It's not out of the realm of possibility that this happens, but I am not expecting it. So let's knock Pickett down a bit. And then that should probably get me where I need to be. Now we're dancing. Yeah, I don't want to look at that if it's going to be extra special incorrect. Real question, if Boston is pushing to get Tatum back and compete, that means Brown plays his first back to the year tonight, right? I don't know. I don't care. Like, they'll tell us. Oh, cool. I froze the model now. Even better. Yeah, I don't. He's either playing or he's not. Like, it's not. He doesn't unmask before the game. Well, whatever I did, I froze what I was doing. So maybe the Pickett piece isn't going to get updated anytime soon. But we can just ignore Jalen Pickett's name and think about it like this. Jaden Hardy. Everybody under 5K. Jaden Hardy, Tim Hardaway, Conchar, Cooper. I'll include Will Riley at 5,100. E.J. Harkless, Jameer Watkins, Bruce Brown. Joval is a guy today in minimal minutes, potentially. Like, even Blake Hinson at 3,500 for the Jazz is a 10% owned dude. We have so many stupid 3K guys and 4K guys that it's really going to be an exercise in irritation coming through all of this. Yeah, I definitely froze whatever I was doing, so that's fun. Get that update in at some point. Won't be too bad. I don't know how I missed that one. That annoys me. Yeah, it's going to be Anthony Gill season today. One of those things that absolutely no one wants. You know what we should do right now while I try to update this? This is going to be very simple. You guys have seen on these shows over the past week or two the stochastic prop tool, particularly on the DraftKings side. Well, it's not just, I don't know why I said on the DraftKings side, on the NBA side. It's not just the NBA side anymore. We've got the props tool for both NBA and NHL. And the cool thing about the props tool is it allows you to get your hands dirty. You want to go in there and just use 100% of our projections. You could do that. You want to use 100% of just our predicted market line. You know, we use all of the market data available and we kind of come up with the best version of that. You could use that. You can weight it at any combination in between. And you can manually adjust things on the NBA side, like minutes, points, rebounds, assists. You can do it on the hockey side as well. Those adjustments will automatically recalculate and tell you everything there is to know about the props for those situations. And you'll have a one-click link immediately to get to that sportsbook to play that specific bet. Whether that's a parlay, a same game, just an individual straight-up bet. You can go any direction there. And right now, you can get them combined for half off. Baseball in the cards Undetermined if we'll be ready for the jump, but baseball is something we're working on. We want to add this for every single sport. Right now, it is NBA and hockey because they are the two active sports, if that is interesting to you guys. Sign up using the promo code COMBO. The link is in the description. You will get half off the All Access Props package. Oh my God. Yeah, Lord King Guru, either shut up now or I will end this conversation for you. Couldn't care less about whatever you're saying. All right. I refreshed the projections, so the Jalen Pickett preposterous value should go away. Oh, we're doing it again with Deuce Trey, too. Kuminga should tell Steve Kerr's dumbass that he's still a beast. Still implies that he ever was. All right, we got this fixed now. Looking a little bit better. Number one value option is no longer a problematic name. So we don't have to worry about that. I'm going to kick off the updated ownership run now as well, and that'll put us back to where we want to be. One of the perks of being able to do this means that we can fix the data while we're here. Yay. Yay. So this ownership will hit, and they'll have a much more realistic outline of what today looks like. But to me, the entire talking point is figuring out how you pick between Tim Hardaway Jr., Jaden Hardy, Conchar, Joe Val, Sharif Cooper, EJ Harkless, Jameer Watkins, Bruce Bell. Like those, you're going to have like three guys in your lineup that if we randomized their thumbnail pictures, you might not be confident that you got the right guy in the right spot. It's weird to think like Jaden Hardy on the Wizards against the Rockets is a guy that's going to be 25 to 30% owned. And there's like 6 Jaden Hardys on the Wizards. Like, you line some of these guys up, and there aren't too many NBA fans that are going to be able to pick Jaden Hardy, Sharif Cooper, Jameer Watkins, and EJ Harkless out of a lineup and get them right. And yet, like 2 of those names are going to win somebody $100,000. That's the funniest part of the NBA in the latter half. Like, we're into March now, man. We obviously got into silly season a little bit earlier than we typically do, but we here now. By the way, ownership is updated. So now I can take a look at this again the proper way. Okay, so now we have the actual proper value and ownership up here. Not that this is going to change much for like the guys that we already looked at. It's still Reed Shepherd, Hardaway, Jokic, Will Riley. But we did flatten this out at least a little bit. So let's go ahead and take a look at that optimal lineup once again, because this is clearly going to look a little bit different. I don't know if it's going to be the double pay up this time. It is still Hardy, Shepherd, Riley, Conchar, Jokic, Brown, Hardaway, Brown. That makes perfect sense. You pay up to 12.5 on Jokic, 9,700 on Jaylen Brown, and then the next most expensive guy in your lineup is Reed Shepherd. That's a good time. That's a good time. All right, let's go step by step. I'm going to filter out. What a great show, step by step. I'm going to filter out anybody not playing. And now we've got the real, legitimate outline of what this slate looks like from top to bottom in salary. And right out of the gate, I think there's something like really clear. And it's what we've touched on, but as we work our way down, the map will look a little bit more reasonable. Obviously, Jokic is breaking free. He's in 2/3 of the lineups. The Brown, Leonard, Şengün, Durant, Murray group, all being like 20 to 25-ish. To me, that's the scariest part of the day. Figuring out what you're putting in that spot, or if you're going double that area, skip Jokic. Tough. Jorge with the massive super chat. We got to make sure we hit on this one. He said, appreciation time. Thanks for the post live input. Took first in the 4max on Friday. Always appreciate it, Josh. Always appreciating you, Jorge, man. That's the shit. That's what we're looking for. That is what we're looking for. Now, I believe, I could be wrong here, but I believe I've got a notification that sees this one. Oh, also, I mean, I guess we should go down the line. Last night, shout out to our boy Sean Jeezy for shipping $25K on the FanDuel side. Longtime friend of the program, picking up the dub with the stochastic avatar. Josh Hunt picked up some dubs as well as I'm rolling through my notifications here. Obviously, that's the one we were looking for. Earlier, at least. Jorge hitting the sharpshooter. We looking good, man. But remember, that's not even what he's talking about. So Jorge just winning like crazy lately. And obviously, we mentioned it at the end of last week, but not only did our boy Low Stories take down the 100K, but our boy Low Stories also took down 20 and another 5 on the night slate and another stochastic avatar, folks. Go to stochastic.com/hall-of-fame. You can find it at the top of the page. Use that avatar. Get a free month. That's what you guys should be doing. You know what else you guys should be doing? Watching the NHL strategy show at 1:30 Eastern time today. Do you know why you should be doing that? Because we've got NHL Sims. Now, it used to just be projections and ownership. Now, we've got the NHL Sims package along with that NHL props package. So if you're a hockey fan, come on in. Links in the description. Sign up for the NHL and watch these boys at 1:30 on the Stochastic YouTube channel, breaking down the ice tonight. And then we're back to normal today, everybody. Myself and Eric Lindquist will be on live before lock from 6 to 7, at which point, from 7 o'clock until 8 o'clock, you will get Greg Ehrenberg. Welcome back to Greg. He will be here for you guys for Live After Lock at a crisp 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's fun. I like it. Now I want to look at the props tool because I just pushed a prop update. So we want to see what that looks like. All right, 80-20 on our model. Number one prop shown for me would be Kawhi Leonard over 6.5 rebounds, and that is going to be at Polymarket, actually. James, I did love Live After Log. It was a good time. Josh, I waited 3 days to tell you Dwight Powell was a good play. I don't know what you're talking about. No, truly no clue. What is that in reference to? I said he was unplayable a few days ago. Yeah, he was. That's a true story. He was 3K, went for 28% fantasy point. Okay. So what am I missing? Sounds like he was still an unplayable guy, like I said. You know, the outcome doesn't change anything, right? He could have had 100 fantasy points and he was still unplayable. Nothing he could have done in that game would change my mind. Let's see here now. Where is it? All right, not the swish. Oh, it was the Friday. Oh, God, I'm dumb. All right. So, just for reference here, Dwight Powell, 0.7% owned in the main. Great start so far. That's not what I wanted to do. Highest the lineup with Dwight Powell finished was 72nd. Also uninteresting. Needed to be top 293. Useless. Actual ROI, negative 10%. Yeah, I was right. As I expected at the time and looking at it retroactively. Yeah, that feels good. That was easy. As I said, unplayable. Couldn't have been more correct. Sometimes you gotta let everybody know. Still wrong. Still wrong. That was fun. I agree. These tangents where I softly roast chat are, in fact, good for the show. Frankie, he was not a good play at all. Playing him was a bad decision. I miss when you did hand builds. I'm not confident I've ever done hand builds. Josh, is going cheap at center the best option rather than forcing in Jokic? I mean, it's definitely not the best option. But I know what you're talking about. If I sort down by center, we could take a look at it. But no, the best option is to play Jokic. There's a reason he looks this good. But I mean, the biggest part of center is this. Nikola Jokic is projected for, let's just say, 65 fantasy points. Alperen Şengün is projected for 45 fantasy points. So there is a 20 fantasy point gap between the number 1 projected center and the number 2 projected center. But where the real problem comes into play here is that there's another 20 points between second and third. There's essentially a 40-point gap between Jokic and the third highest projected center today. That's a lot. Was Alondas Williams a bad play too? Yeah, he was. That day. Unequivocally, yes. Guys, you got to understand, if you see a guy that's in the main of a contest and he's 0.7% owned, you're not making a good decision being right. If he were a good play, he wouldn't be that owned. You're not counting all the other 100 guys that were sub 1% owned that did fuck all for the entire slate. No, neither one of those guys were good plays or should have been played. That's just making life harder for no reason. I don't know how you, like, I can't say, obviously, if you're playing 150 lineups, you're going to have, like, 50 of them or something not have Nikola Jokic in the lineup. It's not so much that, like, I would have a problem getting away from Jokic. The problem here is the way that everybody would want to hear this. Because clearly you can build, like, 58% boom, 72% optimal. Like, yeah, there's, a 25, 30, 35% chance that he's not in the winning lineup. But it's not necessarily, to me, about Jokic. It's the fact that I don't think there's anybody that you just look at and like. It's not as if you look at this and think Kyle Filipowski, Nikola Vucevic, Kada, Draymond, Horford, Turner, Brook Lopez, Anthony Gill. Like, none of these guys are, like, so super interesting that you're like, oh, well, that could go any direction. Like, there's not a confidence dude after that. There's only 4 centers on today's slate that have a boom score north of 20%. Jokic, Şengün, Joval, and Kada. So the problem to me from getting away from center today is mostly just, why are you picking somebody else? Now, maybe Tristan Vukcevic doesn't play, and Anthony Gill doesn't play. And all of a sudden, the Wizards look so much different. Maybe that changes things. I don't know. But I think the most likely scenario today is that you end up with an overwhelming amount of Nikola Jokic and Alperen Şengün. I think it's really hard to build a lineup without Jokic that doesn't have Alperen Şengün. I would guess one of the two of those dudes are in a center spot almost every time, given what this slate is. And I think that makes some sense. After that, I think it starts to get really coin flippy. I'll be honest, you know what I want the most here? It's not going to happen just because of where we are in the season and stuff, but if Jokic had a Q tag today when their injury report comes out, that would be amazing. It would be truly amazing. I don't expect that to happen in any way, but if this were like November, oh god, that could be fun. I want Havoc. We got to remember, half of the teams today don't have injury reports yet. We might get if you think there's a lot of nonsense today with the Wizards and the Jazz, you got to remember, those guys are nonsense no matter what. If any one of these other teams starts to sit some people, that's when the real craziness starts to happen. I'm just having a tough time looking at anybody other than Jokic. Okay, here's one more thing I want to say today. Don't take these numbers literally because they measure different things. But I do find it incredibly hilarious that Jokic's floor is higher than Alperen Şengün's ceiling. That's the gap in projections we have today. Nikola Jokic's floor is higher than Alperen Şengün's ceiling. And to follow that up, Alperen Şengün's floor is higher than Kyle Filipowski's ceiling. That's why I don't think we get away from Jokic today. Prince, I wouldn't even consider what positions they go into their lineups. I don't know. I've never known what position my guys are in. If they play later, they go in later spots. That's it. But I think that's the sign here of what center is. Now, obviously, Alperen Şengün's ceiling is higher than Nikola Jokic's floor in like real life. These ceiling and floor numbers are just, a certain standard deviation, just to give you a more reasonable range. We're talking about like 10 points on either side. That's not really what ceilings and floors are, but you need your metric to have bars somewhere. But I don't see the path of getting away from Jokic and then getting away from Şengün. But you know what we can do tomorrow? We'll take a look at the post-contest sims, and we'll see how often we had those lineups without both of them and how well they looked prior to lock. I hit you guys with the schedule. We took a little bit of a lap throughout most of this. Hold on, what's this? That's wrong, though. What's wrong, though? Anyway, while we get that back, again, promo code is combo. If you want to get the dueling prop tool from both the NBA side and the NHL side, we've got coupon codes in the description right now. If you want to sign up on the Sims side, we're clearly cranking out the winners as of late. Shout out to our boy Jorge, low stories, and then some. Shout out to Sean Jeezy as well from last night. Got our standard issue shows for later tonight. Constantly putting out more tools for you guys. I don't really have too much left here. The lack of injury reports aren't helping, but I think we set ourselves up here. We know we're going to have a lot of dumb value. We don't need to corner the market on it right now. I think the more important thing is talking through those pay-ups, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that today. So I think I'm going to bid you guys adieu. Thank you guys for being here. Hit the like button on your way out the door. Doesn't seem like we're going to get that response out of Ollie, so I have no idea what's wrong. He could be talking to chat. He could be talking to me. No clue. No clue. But alas, that's going to do it, folks. Get ready for Nikola Jokic. Get ready for Nikola Jokic to have like 44 fantasy points tonight. That's what's going to happen, right? Everything we say in the morning, and he's going to have nothing. Wait until it happens. It feels so likely now. Or he puts 100 on him in 3 quarters because it's the Jazz and they stink. It was about Powell and Alondas Williams. Okay, well then. I was talking about the Jokic floor being higher than Şengün's ceiling. Yeah, it's almost like I explained why those numbers aren't what they mean. But, we'll skip that part. As much as I would love to continue dunking on that one, that is going to do it for us because it's Monday and I don't have the energy for it. Good luck, everybody. Enjoy your day. I will see you guys later tonight for NBA Live Before Lock.